come back and talk specifically about copays and what to do about copays if you're overwhelmed. And please don't decide, if you've already decided to stop therapy because of your copay, I want you to rethink that, because it's too important. It's too important to let go. And I know that some of you your copays are all different amounts. Sometimes you have to make a $20 copay every time a therapist comes to your house, up to a certain amount of money. And usually you get to, it could be $2,000, it could be $4,000, it could be $5,000. I think it can be as high as $6,350, somewhere around there. And I think that after that, I think that our new rules with Obamacare doesn't allow it to go higher than that or much higher than that. Please check that for your personal insurance. But I know that sometimes getting to that number can seem very overwhelming. I want you to look at this in a different way. That if you could get the funding to make all that copay happen until you can get to your deductible, think about how amazing the rest of the year would be. Then you wouldn't have to make any more of those copays, and you could get access to all the health care that you needed, right? And it would be covered by your insurance. I think that perhaps that's probably information that insurance companies don't want you to focus on, because it makes more sense for them if you're not getting to that point. But if you know, in the first 2 years that my son had therapy, I think the first year it was $120,000 worth of therapy. And I think in the second year it was still over $100,000 worth of therapy. And that's overwhelming to me. Like, I can't even talk about how grateful I am that we had access to funding for that, so that we were able to do that. It was so life-changing. The rest of our lives will be different forever because we had that. And I didn't have the money to do that, right? And I really didn't have $6,000 laying around to be able to do that either. So I can relate if you don't. But I want you to know some of the things that I found out and some of the things that I continue to find out, to motivate you to go to the places to get that funding, because once you get to that magical number, whatever it is for you, things will be infinitely easier. So why not just solve that $6,000 problem? You think, but I can't do any more and I've got other things going on. Yes, so let's make it as easy as possible. Thing number one to go for copays, Autism Care and Treatment Today, which is a wonderful charity, gives money to families for the things that they need. Now, you can get a grant. You can request a grant for up to $5,000 from them. That is money that you do not have to pay back. It is a lengthy process. You have to fill out a lot of information. They need to know your tax information, and you have to write something about why you need the money and what you need the money specifically for. But they love to fund copays and deductibles. Why? Because they can't write you a check for the whole amount for ABA, but they know that if they give you $5,000 towards your copay or your deductible, that goes a long way towards you getting so much more therapy beyond that. It's money well spent. It gives you access. So it's one of the things that they absolutely love to give grants for. There are 4 different times a year that they give grants, and if the first time you apply for a grant you don't get it, your grant application makes you eligible for the next grant phase, and then you can reapply after that. There isn't enough money to go around for everyone to get grants, so they really go by your application and who has need. It doesn't mean that if you, say for instance, if you're a family that your income is high, but you have other bills, don't be put off by that. Just make sure that you include that in your grant application about why you need the money. So don't think, oh, well, we make a certain amount of money, so we aren't going to be eligible. There is no cutoff, but they will give to the families that they see the greatest need in. So apply. You can go to ACT, so www.act-today.org, and apply for a grant. Go to their website, see when the next grant phase is. I believe that it's coming. There's one coming up. But they do it 4 times a year. So if it's not coming up in this next month, it will be the month after that. All right, so that's one great resource for copay. Now, another place that I don't have actual confirmation that they fund money for copays, but I have, through the rumor mill, I have heard that they have, and I know that they fund other things. I can't see why they wouldn't fund a copay, and that is the United Healthcare Children's Fund. You do not have to be a person with United Healthcare, by the way, to be able to be eligible for this grant. And again, it is a grant. It is money that you do not have to pay back. It is a one-time $5,000 grant. They will only give money to treatments that have been found to be effective and that are FDA approved. So you know, ABA should qualify for that, and your copay should qualify for that. So Google United Healthcare Children's Fund to be able to find out about a grant for that. Another place that you can consider that I personally have used, and I can tell you that they are amazing, but it is a loan, not a grant. And there's a vast difference. So I would tell you, apply for grants first, but if you need to, there are the possibilities of loans. The place where I got my loan was from the Jewish Free Loan Association. And I tell you with all honesty and openness, you do not have to be Jewish. I am not Jewish. And they gave me a loan so that I had that $5,000. It was actually I think it was just over $6,000 or just under $6,000 to be able to have that money revolve, that we would pay our ABA provider, and we would get the receipt for that, and then we would go to the funding source and wait for them for 60 days to give us the money back, which then we would pay to the provider again and have the revolving door. We were able to make payments. They are interest-free loans. You do have a huge responsibility if you're taking a loan from the Jewish Free Loan Association that you must pay the money back. You cannot be late on your payments. They make very reasonable payments, which is so much easier over a period of time. And if you're thinking to yourself, yes, but then I'm going to have more copays later on, by then you might have a grant. You know, keep that in mind. And plus which the amount of therapy that your child needs over the years greatly, greatly diminishes. So you could get to the point where you no longer, needed the money. Jewish Free Loan Association. You can Google that as well, but I believe that it's JFLA, Jewish Free Loan Association.org, to find out more information from them. Again, it's a lengthy application that you have to fill out, and you do have to have co-signers because it is important that they get the money back that they lend to people. But I personally use them and speak very highly. They were absolutely amazing. They saved our keisters. And then there is another organization that also lends money that is Lend for Health. Lend4health.org. You can go to their site, and they lend for all kinds of money. If you find yourself in a bind and you need money for a copay or a deductible or a treatment, they are a wonderful organization. They will even lend money for you to be able to attend a conference, which is truly, truly amazing. So there are, I promised you 3 and I gave you 4 resources to be able to find money. And by the way, find it relatively quickly for all 4 of those things. And then of course the 5th thing that I always mention to people is don't be afraid to have a fundraiser. Don't be afraid to do that, to raise money for your ability to make your copay and deductible. There are a lot of people who, whether it's that you have a bake sale and you sell your cookies for $5 a piece and say, this is what's going to make it possible for us to make our deductible, you'd be amazed at who would be willing to help you. Total strangers. Who will step up and feel good about the fact that they're helping you to help your child get that treatment. Just don't say, I can't do it. Failure is not an option, my friends. We are closer to being able to help more people than we ever have before. Don't opt out of it because of the copay.